Everybody good in the back? All right, we got head coach Hank Plona. Coach will open it up with a statement, and then we'll jump into questions.
Good morning. Good to see everybody here. Obviously, this feels like somewhat of the first game week for us, so I think we're looking forward to taking the floor here at Diddle and putting on some game uniforms and seeing what we got. Obviously, it feels like a very new team and a very new start and a very kind of fresh beginning for this group. So we've been at it since early June, so I guess that's about 4 or 5 months of pretty consistent work. Everybody says first practice in late September, but you're allowed 4 hours on the court to do whatever you want to from June on. So I guess the length has increased here as we've gotten going, but we've been quote-unquote practicing since June and kind of building our identity and our values and our culture and all that type of thing. So I think we've had a productive summer and fall, and we're looking forward to taking the court here and getting started on Wednesday night.
You said it feels like a new team, but really it is a new team. You have so many newcomers to this program. What are some of the biggest challenges to putting that all together and being ready for that done?
Yeah, I think you just want to try to figure out. I think it's good for the players. I mean, in June and July, we really don't tell them a lot what to do basketball-wise. So, and we might instruct on and hold our standards high on how to act, how to communicate, how what the effort needs to be like, how to be punctual, how to make sure that you're showing that you care, and how you're buying in. But as far as actual basketball, we probably try to let them kind of feel it out and figure out what everybody's strengths and weaknesses are and how to play off of one another. I think if you just tell people how to play at the very beginning, well, a lot of times you're eliminating strengths, and you never really want to do that. Like every player is here because of the 2 or 3 things that they do at an elite level. So you always want. It's good. It takes time for the players to understand and to figure out how each player plays and what each teammate is comfortable doing and how to play with a teammate. So we always try to mix up the teams and play with different combinations and put them in different situations, and without necessarily telling them specifically what to do. I would tell you that's probably the biggest difference when quote-unquote practice starts, is that all of a sudden, okay, now in transition we're looking for this. Now in the half court we're looking for this. So here's what we call this action. So I think we've gotten a little more specific probably the last 3, 4, 5 weeks. But I think, I think it's funny. This group reminds me of most of my head coaching career, because I'm used to having about 3 guys that have played and maybe 5 guys in the program and 10 new guys. Like that, of all the similarities and differences, I'd tell you, this feels way more of what I'm comfortable doing. I'd never in my life coached a team that I had been an assistant as part of, and then you try to change things and change the style or keep going with things. I'd say last year, I think when you go from assistant to head coach, then you have a lot of the same players. That's a unique set of challenges, and all my friends told me that going in. This feels like a very standard set of challenges for me. Figuring out how to morph the team together, figuring out what each player does, figuring out the identity, kind of empowering them all to be the best versions of themselves and not just to kind of conform and be hesitant. How do you play together while still being a confident version of yourself? So we've tried to kind of build that identity over the last 4 or 5 months, and I think the guys are in a pretty good place as we get ready to play.
Hank, you think your players recognize what you just talked about, the molding, the kind of finding their role as you go along?
I think the majority of them do. This group for sure. I think we have a very mature group. I think we have too thoughtful of a group, if anything. These guys have been through a lot. We have 2 freshmen in Armello Boone and Lawson Rice, and we have 1 junior college transfer in L.J. Hackman. I mean, the other 13 guys have been part of Division I basketball before, so I think that there's, sometimes I'll hear the comment, man, your job relies on 18 to 22-year-old kids. We got a few that are older than 22 now. And so we have some guys that have been through this, and I've got a couple guys that have played for 5 or 6 different head coaches. So I think we have some guys that are maybe even a little have seen so many different ways of doing it that they understand the concept, but I do think guys have to adjust. I don't think that everybody is used to probably, like I use the phrase, be the best version of yourself. Yep, these are our standards, but then you got to be you. I don't think everybody is quite heard that message a lot. We have a couple of players that I believe are extremely talented and part of our team that we're almost trying to empower to be a player that they haven't been either ever, or at least in a couple of years. So I do think that we don't want guys to hesitate. We'll go over some stuff on the court, and again, we have a very thoughtful group, so we'll go over some breakdown stuff on the court or some different actions, and then when we play, I go, all right, now all that was to different options, but now that we're playing, you got to trust your instincts. Now that we're playing, you got to be you. Now that you're playing, you got to be in the moment, because you can't hesitate in basketball. You always have to put pressure on the rim. You always have to try to get a second defender when you're guarding the ball, or when the shot's in the air. You gotta be an alpha dog to go get that rebound now. So to me, winning and successful teams have a elite confidence. They're comfortable making aggressive mistakes in their own way, but then having a comfort with each other. You don't got to say my bad. Like, we all know you're trying. Just to try to trust everybody's intent. Hold everybody accountable for their intent and what they're trying to do, and not their actions. If you make a mistake, but it's an aggressive mistake, then we try to empower that and kind of fine tune it. We don't want there to be hesitant, nervous players on the court at all.
Coach, last year I know injuries really plagued how things went as far as depth and how far that bench went down. How does that look this year, especially with the new group? How are things going into this year?
Well, we have 15 guys practicing right now, so that's a large number. Obviously, we had a couple question marks coming into the season. Right now, Lawson Rice is the only player not practicing full. Lawson had a torn ACL last October, his senior year at Butler County High School. He's been a little in and out throughout the summer, but he's still rehabbing. So Lawson is not a full go right now, will not be playing in either one of the exhibition games, and I expect him to be probably doubtful, I'd say, for the beginning of the season. The other 15 guys are all healthy. So it's a large number of guys. Obviously, Terrion Murdix didn't play basketball last year. Tegan Moore didn't play basketball. Kate Unseld didn't play basketball. Noah Boyd barely played, was recovering from a knee injury, barely played at LSU. Cam Hafner's season at Evansville ended with a wrist injury. So we had a lot of guys, even some guys that we took, and you might question why we took some guys that were injured with the situations we have, but sometimes you can get a talented player that had an injury issue. So, we're fortunate that those guys are all healthy right now. Obviously, we've tried to get them in shape, and while keeping our depth in mind, I think our depth can be a strength. So we've tried to make sure everybody gets back into game shape without pushing it too far, and while being, 23, 24-year-old guys with history of knee injuries, you do have to be mindful of that. So I think we're at a very healthy point right now, which is good. I'm hoping we can stay that way. There's been probably early in my career when I was about a 30-year-old head coach, we had some wear and tear injuries in practice. Man, last year kind of felt like a little unlucky because, they happened in the games, and I don't think you can really control that. So we've tried to be smart with how we work. We've tried to go in, maybe shorter segments, but go really hard. I think sometimes wear and tear over 2.5, 3.5 hour day after day after day can kind of beat you up. So we've tried to be smart with this group, but we feel pretty fortunate going into the season that we have 15 healthy bodies.
With the injuries that you talked about, how do you build a team chemistry when everybody hasn't played in a while or played together?
I don't know. I think every team. I think the injuries have a little to do with that, but we've been pretty healthy since July now. So I guess Kate Unseld and Blaze Keita. Blaze obviously had some injury issues as well. Those guys maybe were a little in and out in July, but we've been pretty full now for the since July 4th. Terrion Murdix has been fully cleared since July. Kate Unseld fully cleared since July. So we've had 3.5 months. And we go. Early on, 4 or 5 days a week. Right now, 6 days a week, and you put them in different situations, on the court, off the court. You try to. Sometimes you do non-basketball activities where the guys don't know it, but the focus is on being comfortable and communicating and getting to know each other and being comfortable making mistakes. And then sometimes, and obviously, most of it's on the court. In communication. So I don't know. I think the injuries are a part of it, but just in general, getting young men that have never been around each other to put their guard down and to comfortably communicate and not to be nervous what other people think. Man, that's the challenge of coaching in today's world. I think no matter what the team is, when you have a new group of people, it's not normal for 15 random dudes to come together and to trust one another blindly. Like I think all of us probably in life think, I think many people are, you got to earn my trust. I'm going to trust you. You got to earn that over time. But in today's world, when you put a basketball team together and we're going to try to go win for WKU right away, man, we have to, it's a crash course on gaining trust and communication and confidence in one another and confidence in the mission and what we're doing, even while there's ups and downs. So I don't know. I mean, to me, it's the focal point of what we work on in June, July, and even into August. It's not as much the specific basketball stuff. It's more just getting everybody on the same page. And you try to create different situations. You try to change the teams. You try to reward confident, aggressive, mistakes and behavior. You try to reward communication. When guys hesitate or get nervous, you try to build them up to where we're comfortable being on that same page and trusting one another. And it's certainly a day-to-day process that we've done for 5 months. And I think if we're going to be elite in March, it's got to be part of our day-to-day process for the next 5 months as well.
In terms of your roster construction, I know that you and Steve kind of share a lot of philosophies, but having more of a hand in building this team, does it suit your system, or were you just looking to build that depth and talent? What were you looking for in putting this team together?
Yeah, I feel very comfortable with this team that we have. I feel like this team reminds me of some of the best teams that I've coached. And I would even just say, man, I like, not even comparing to Steve or to anyone else. Like, man, I'm very involved in the recruiting process. And I certainly, if there's 2 players that we think are close in talent, hey, I'm always going to try to figure out who wants to play here and who wants to play for me, And I think that I know that we have 16 players on our roster that are very excited to play for Western and to play for me. And I don't sugarcoat anything. I'm brutally honest in the recruiting process about what I see and what we look for. And I do think that helps. I think the biggest struggle that we had is a year ago, I sat up there in the arena in a press conference, and the players were all sitting there, and got named the head coach, and they were all there, and they support me and whatever. And I'm sure you guys know how the modern day world works. I mean, the portal was open. About 2 weeks later, when the emotion wore out, there were guys that were, we hadn't really talked about their future. It was just kind of an emotional thing. And, and there were some tough conversations. There were some, I'm not sure if this is where I should be there. And when you get a job and those kids sit there and they look at each and every one of you and they tell you how excited they are to play for me. And then 2 weeks later, somebody sends them a message that makes them reconsider something. Man, it was a battle for those 20 days, keeping that team together. And I think it was always a struggle. I think we had made the tournament. Like it's very hard in the modern world when your motivation is let's do it again. That's a tricky one in today's world, guys. Like it's like we have a very fresh start, and we're trying to accomplish something this year that we've never done before. So even though Tegan Moore's playing the tournament, man, there's nothing that resembles that team about this team. So I think that when you're trying to accomplish something, when you're trying to accomplish something new, I do think it's a more natural motivation. So I am excited about this group. I do think that, obviously with help of my staff, I do think this group is really excited to play for me and to play for us and to play for Western. And there's a joyfulness and excitement about what's in front of us. And there's no let's do this again, or we've been here, but no, there's really no resemblance. And I do think that the best teams, you're creating a newness every single year. There's a reason why you don't see a lot of repeat champions, and when you do, man, you look back when Villanova wins an NCAA tournament and people say they have no pros on the team, there's a reason why 8 years later you look back and Jalen Brunson and Josh Hart and Mikal Bridges and Dante DiVincenzo are all playing in the NBA, because that's unique. Like, that's special. Like, you have to have a special drive to do something again. And I think that the more natural one is, all right, let's do something new. Let's accomplish something together. And this group certainly feels like that.
Does your background in judo ball help prepare you for the era we're in with the portal?
Probably. It just feels, this year feels very, very comfortable for me. Like, this feels, man, I don't know, it feels like the best teams I've been around, and yeah, we have a lot of bodies right now. Just so you guys know, Wednesday night, I really don't know, have no idea who's going to start or who's going to play, and I'm sure after the game, somebody's going to ask me, why'd you do something? And hey, man, we're trying to mold and build this team, which is very, very common for me. a year ago, if I hadn't started a guy in the first game, y'all would ask what he did wrong because he started every game the year before, and that was a situation I had never fully been in before. So there were some decisions I think that I made that if I could look back and change, I would. Where I was trying to almost protect a few of those guys, and as a coach, man, when you can reward success and you reward winning every day in practice, and you reward the habits and the behaviors that go into team success, and you hold that as the standard, man, everybody tries to get over that bar, and that's how a team becomes elite. So, like I said, that's kind of what I've always done in my past, and it certainly feels that's what we're doing right now with this team.
Well, the players that came back, what's some of the feedback that you got for the reason why they returned?
They were pretty eager to return now. I'll tell you, this is probably selfishly a little bit. What I felt good about all year, and even when they return, is that Cade Stinnett, Cade Unseld, Terrion Murdix, and Tegan Moore, the 4 guys that were sitting out, were very, very eager to return. And they witnessed the whole dynamic. So they certainly, obviously, believed in what we were doing. So Terrion's seen it all in his life. Obviously Tegan and Terrion and I have been together now for 3 years. So I guess it makes I think as a coach, we always look in the mirror. You always reflect. It does make you feel like you're doing the right things when the guys that were sitting out and watching the dynamic and watching the good and the bad and the ups and the downs, when those guys are still eager to be at Western and to be part of it. So that for sure. Jack, Blaze, and Leroy. I mean, those are 3 winning, team-oriented guys that we know are those are 3 guys that aren't saying they need this points per game or they need this. Those are 3 guys that that are winners that want to win. So the core of those 7 guys that came back, I mean, there was no trying to convince anybody to come back. Anybody. Like every player knew what we thought and what I thought specifically, and this is what's in front of you, and this is what the opportunity would be, and this is what I hope for, and this is why I hope you choose to come back. But those 7 guys were very eager to be part of this team, and we weren't going to bring back anybody that wasn't eager to be part of this team.
Generally speaking, with the new roster and what you've seen thus far, what kind of style of play can we expect?
We're always going to be aggressive in everything we do. So on offense, we want to try to push the ball and we want to try to get a broken floor and to see if we can score. If we can't, then we need to be efficient. We can't we need to take a lot less off the dribble jump shots than what we did a year ago. So if we don't get something quick, we need to be patient and move the ball. So we want to play with pace, but I'm not. Our goal is not to be number 1 in any kind of tempo or shot quickness or anything like that. Our goal is we're going to be fast and aggressive now. I mean, guys come here because they like to play at a professional type pace. In the NBA, the shot clock is 24 seconds. In EuroLeague, the shot clock is 24 seconds. I know there didn't used to be a shot clock back in the day, but man, these guys that want to play professional, you want to prepare them in a way that translates to modern professional basketball. So we do try to play aggressive. At the same time, man, I want us to be way more multi-dimensional in offense. I want to have 5 guys. I want to move that ball. We want to pass the ball to the first open guy you see. You want to trust your teammates. Like most people in modern basketball, want to try to score at the rim and get catch and shoot threes. Those are by far the most efficient shots. On the defensive side, I mean, we'll pressure. We'll try to use our depth. We'll play different strategies. It'll be always, it'll be mostly man-to-man. But I do think this team can have more wrinkles than what we're used to. We can go big, and when you go big, you play Grant Newell at 6'9" at the 3. You can do a lot of different things. We can go small, and you can play Grant Newell at 6'9" at the 5. And maybe that lineup does something slightly different. So I think there's some specific changes that we can make based on our personnel on the court. But at the same time, I'm always going to say we want to be aggressive. Like we want to force the defense to be on their heels and be uncomfortable. And then when we're on defense, we want to force the offense to be a little shaky with that basketball and to be able to take them out of what they're trying to do.
Going off of that, Coach, what are some players that newcomers or returning players from injuries that fans can expect to hear their names a lot this season?
Man, I don't know. I guess that's the point of the beginning of the season. So I mean, we literally had workouts this morning, and I told them all, and Coach Hank, the human being, wants all 15 healthy bodies to play and for you guys to hear their names. I guess I bring up Grant in that example because I do think that Grant Newell will be a very important part of our team. Grant's man, he's 6'8", 6'9", and I don't know if he's a guard or a forward. I don't know what he is, but he can shoot the ball. He can score in different ways. He's a heck of a teammate and a leader. I've been very impressed in the 6-7 months that I've gotten to know him. He's somebody that I trust he was part of a very good North Texas team last year. Certainly puts team success above his own, trying to get him to be more confident scoring the basketball if anything. Teagan and Terrion coming back from injury for sure are going to be important parts of the team. I think we've all seen a little bit what Teagan can do. Obviously, I think his game is more well-rounded. I think, yeah, he can bully you at the rim, but I think Teagan can score and pass in some different ways. You know, Terrion Murdix, I don't know that I'd trade Terrion for anybody. I mean, if you guys want to know why there's not a real another point guard on the team, there's a lot of guys in the transfer portal that want to come and that you got to assure them they're going to be the lead guard. And I wasn't willing to do that with anybody because I think Terrion Murdix is about as good as anybody in college basketball. So does that mean, I don't mean to put too much on him, does that mean in day number one after 27, 30 months off that he, you know, I will pump the brakes on that a little bit. But I think that Terrion, and I mean, his teams have had success. It is at about an elite level as any player in college basketball, you know, and I think that you see the winning characteristics that he has on a day-to-day basis. And then I think that the big guys have all been doing really good. Blaise Keita, Leroy Odiahi returned from last year, Noah Boyd and Brian Selabonge. Those guys I mean, I don't know whose stats are going to jump off the board. I don't know if one will play more than the other quite yet. But those are four very team-oriented, talented players that even without touching the basketball all the time, make a huge impact with defense and rebounding and making our offense go. So those guys have been pretty good through 4 or 5 months.
Speaking of Terrion, as you said, I mean, what, 2 years off now? It's a lot of rust. I mean, getting back on the court, and it's some trust on his part in his own body. How's he reacted to that? You said he's at full strength.
He's been pretty good. I mean, he was, if you had asked me that on June 15th, I would have no idea where we stood. He had a little minor kind of cleanup thing, so his knee was structurally good from he had surgery, 2 surgeries in April. So April of 2024 and 23 and then April of 2024. So this past April, after about a year, we thought he'd be about good to go in April, May, and he wasn't quite. And it was just, and basically he just had to, it's just a little clean, nothing structural, but he went down to Nashville and just had like a little cleanup thing that he missed June with. But man, all of a sudden, once everything they said from that little kind of cleanup of his knee worked from July on, he's practiced every single day. I would imagine he has some issues. I wouldn't tell you I'm never going to tell Terrion ever in a game even, hey, tough it out. What are you? No. I mean, like nobody knows their own body like we all know our own body. And he literally, he's going to be 31 months between college basketball games. That's a significant amount of time now, you know. And to his credit, I mean, we've been around him every day for 2 years. Like, I mean, his how he gets locked in. I mean, he's at every film session, he's at every practice, he's at everything now for 2 years. So there's not a lot of guys that have the strength mentally and physically to continue to go and to fight back and to believe in something and to believe in their own ability, obviously, you know. So Terrion's been able to do that. There's no restrictions on him at all. There's no holding him out in anything. He's been good. I do probably keep my eye on him a little bit more than the average one, you know, just because I don't want him to. I think Terrion could play basketball for another 10 or 12 years. You know, and I think he can live a very successful life doing that. And we want to win as many games as possible, and he's going to be a huge part of that. But obviously, we think about his future too. So I can't assure that there's going to be no hiccups during the year with him. But he has not missed a day of practice since early July, since when he returned, and has been able to do everything physically that our team does. There are no restrictions, nothing holding him back. He's had 3.5 months of complete full health, which has been a pleasant development for us.
On the court when he's rolling, because you spoke so highly.
He's a real point guard.
Yeah. What do you see as a coach that's so special about him?
He's a real point guard in a world where if you say who are the best point guards, sometimes I say Chris Paul's about the last real point guard because Steph Curry and Damian Lillard and actually Tyrese Halliburton in modern day basketball probably is a real point guard. But Terrion would rather pass than shoot. And there's not a lot of guys in modern day basketball that would rather pass than shoot. Terrion's going to pass up shots. Terrion can really shoot the three. And after a couple games, you might ask me, you said he could really shoot, but he's only taken 2 threes in 5 games. He's not looking to go out there and score. Like, he is wanting to make our team better. His decision making is elite. He rebounds the ball at a very high level for a guard. He's a very good on-ball defender. He's an elite off-ball defender. He just has an anticipation about what is going to happen that is very unique. And he's a very normal looking dude now. He's 5'10" and a half, 172 pounds. Like he does not walk in here and you go, wow, that guy looks it. No, he's a very, very normal sized dude. But man, the way that he thinks the game and sees the game and kind of knows where all 9 players and the ball are and are about to go is very, very good. He can manipulate the game with the basketball in his hands, and he can certainly make a huge impact on the game without the ball in his hands. So to me, he's just kind of a traditional point guard in a world where there are not many.
Coach, these first couple of games from October and November, what do you think that you want the team to take away from those games?
I want us to play as hard as we can. I want us to bounce back when stuff doesn't go our way. I want us to stay in the moment. I don't want us to put our head down at all. I want us to sprint end to end and to play with a speed and an aggressiveness. I want us to kick the other team's rear ends on the glass and to physically impose our will in every which way. I want to make sure we move the ball and don't play selfish. And I guess I think that takes care of itself. I've seen on Twitter or whatever you want to call it recently, oh, exhibition games don't mean anything. But then I see everybody react and overreact. And man, I watch college football coaches getting fired for losing 3 games after almost winning the national title. So we're aware that there's an overreaction to everything. If we win by a lot of points on Wednesday, we're not the best team in the world. And if we lose by a lot of points, we're not the worst team in the world. So these are exhibition games. We're trying to build our identity. We're trying to, everybody's going to play on Wednesday night. We're trying to find rotations. We're trying to find combinations that work. I wouldn't tell you that we're going to run the most in-depth stuff in our playbook to try to make sure we score out of a timeout versus Kentucky Wesleyan on a Wednesday night. We're trying to have the best season we can win, and these games don't count. So it's more the first part of my answer is the honest truth. I'd like us to play very hard. I'd like us to play for one another. I'd like the fans to go home and say, man, that team in white played their butts off tonight. I think there were some games, especially here at home late in the year last year, where I was not pleased with some of those things. So I'd like to just kind of, especially for our fans, reestablish who we are and our identity and make sure everybody goes home knowing that you're going to see a good product on the floor this year.
Coach, looking at this roster, there's about 5 or 6 guys from the state of Kentucky. And even looking ahead, you got a couple commits coming from Jack Livingston and Cole Eaglin. How important is that to build this roster with guys from in-state to play with a little bit of pride just in their home state?
Yeah, I think there's pride in the home state. I think there's pride in playing for Western. I think the Kentucky kids, I think in general, in the modern, if the rules continue where you can go anywhere you want to go every single year, I think the closer you are to home, the less likely you are to look somewhere else. So yeah, I think there's pride. But I also think there's guys that are going to stay for multiple years. Not that they have any multi-year commitment or anything like that, but it does seem to me that the Kentucky kids value a Western Kentucky degree, that they want to wear red and white the rest of their lives, that they're really bought into what we do here, that they're not always looking for the next thing, that when people contact them about doing something else or looking somewhere else, they laugh at it a little bit more than try to hear the best option. So I guess I think that, yeah, I want guys that want to be here. Like I want guys that want to put on our uniform and to play in Diddle Arena and to win. And I do think that, if you have some kind of connection, we have a bunch of Kentucky kids, but man, I've coached Ryan Myers in my past, Eric Murphy, my assistant's coach, Brian Celebonga in his past. Cam Hafner has a family connection to Western Kentucky. You can go right down the list. I've known Noah Boyd for 3 years, so man, guys that have some connection to us or to this university, I do think that there is pride in putting on the uniform and pride in trying to have success here. I look at all the best teams that Western Kentucky has ever had, and there's Kentucky kids on all of them. And when you go out, then Courtney Lee's from Indianapolis, but Ty Rogers is from Kentucky, so you see a mix of that from everywhere. But I do think that kids that succeed at WKU, and this is going back 50, 60 years, I do think there's pride in playing there. I think it helps to have your family being able to come support you. I'm not going to apologize for recruiting our area very, very hard, and we're going to continue to do so.
Noah too.
Part of you.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Jim.
Oh, speaking of Noah, he is a does add a little something different to the roster as a true 7-footer this year. How does he fit in with what you guys are doing? Is it seamless, or do you kind of have to work with him?
Well, Noah's still figuring. I mean, Noah hasn't played in a long time either, so I don't think it's the 7-foot part. I think Noah's just getting his timing back, and and Noah was a kid that. I mean, he played in a camp in the Caribbean and was kind of discovered, by a friend of ours, and then played junior college, and nobody really knew, and they developed into the #1 junior college recruit in America. Signed to Baylor, and then he popped his ACL and missed time and tried to rush back to play last year. And so, I mean, just getting his timing and his comfort. Like, we just want Noah to be comfortable just being part of a very good team. He doesn't have to be Superman out there. He doesn't have to be Joel Embiid every single night, or Giannis, or Jokic, or whoever the best front court player is. We just want Noah to be comfortable, and he's had some moments where he looks dominant. He's had some moments where he looks like he's trying to figure it out. But I think Noah, he has a skill and a talent, and he can score the ball. He's got soft touch around the rim. He's an unbelievable defender and off the ball and in ball screens. Obviously, his size and length is very unique. So just want Noah to be comfortable, and for him to kind of get back, use these first couple games to just kind of get back used to playing under bright lights. And but we think that as the season goes on, he's a guy that's I think he's going to be better in November than he is now. I think he's going to be better in December than he is in November and forward. So obviously, when you have a guy at that size with that ability, as they continue to get better, they start reaching their upside. Their upside's usually pretty high.
How much are you learning about each player? I know it's easy when you see them before they get on campus, but how much have they shown you since they've been here that you didn't expect, that gives you the idea that maybe the team could be better than what you thought?
Well, you learn every single day. The more situations they get in, for better or worse, you learn about them, and life doesn't go on a straight upwards. I mean, for everything you learn in a negative way, then there's 2 positive, then 1 down and 2 positive. And that's kind of the natural growth over the year, so it's making sure that with both success and failure, you help them learn and improve from it. It's not a seamless day by day we get better. It's there's 2 steps forward, 1 step back, 2 steps forward, 1 step back. And that's frustrating to all of us as coaches, but it's normal. Like, that's what happens. You learn from both success and failure. No matter if you succeed or fail, you wake up the next day and you keep going. And the hard part about practice in October is, I'm sure you can imagine, if the offense scores, I usually think the defense did a bad job. But if the offense turns the ball over, I usually think the offense did a bad job. So in October, when you're just playing against each other, it can be very difficult, because as a coach, you're never happy, because you focus more on the team that did not win the possession. And that's why we're looking forward to playing somebody else. But no doubt, the more situations you're in, part of the reason I wanted to play 2 exhibitions with this team instead of closed scrimmages, because when those lights go on and there's some fans there, and minutes are there, and fouls are there, and I don't know if in our arena they put up how many points everybody scores individually, which doesn't matter, but in today's world it stares right in your face. You learn how guys react in a game-like situation. And that's something that every practice we've been in, we've yet to learn how they react in a game-like situation. So that's part of why I thought 2 exhibitions for this group would be a positive. So we've learned a lot about them. I think, for better or worse, you learn what they're capable of that you didn't know they could do, and you also learn, okay, maybe this has been the hurdle or 2 that Cam or Grant or Bryant or Noah or Ryan or LJ has to overcome, because everybody's got things you got to get better as a player. You want to make their strengths as good as you can make them, and then you want to try to cover up and improve their weaknesses as much as you can.
Follow up on that. How much would you say that you have to learn in order to make players the best that they can be? The game kind of changes over time, but how much have you had to improve as a coach to get the best out of your players?
I mean, you always have to, especially as time goes on. I mean, the coaching, I have a grad assistant on my team named Devontae Lane. He played for me in 2017 to 2019. And we were talking this morning about how I was telling him more, man, the coaching these guys is different than coaching you, man, 7 years ago. Like, because people change, and 7 years ago, transferring, it was a transfer epidemic. It was a transfer problem. It was whatever. There ain't no problem no more. These guys are, Look at their DMs. They're being encouraged to transfer every single day, you know? So you learn how to coach. You have to keep evolving as a coach, you know? Like, I don't think there's ever a finish line. There's never a finish line for a team, and there's never a finish line for a coach either. Like, I think if we win our first, 3 games and we think we figured it out, we're good. All right, we're going to get popped. Like, because everybody else is getting better. And as a coach, it's no different. Like, if, you know, fortunate enough to win some games in my career. Like, you can't stop, you know, because the game keeps changing, the players keep changing. You know, everything continues to evolve, and you have to stay present. You know, we tell the players to stay present all the time. Well, we got to stay present all the time. You know, we got to try to. I mean, if you saw my bookmarks on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter about offensive plays, I mean, we're always trying to figure out the next thing. You know, you're always trying to learn from other people. You're always trying to, you know, I'm not trying to invent new plays. I'm trying to steal the best ones I can find, you know, and because everybody's trying to evolve. Because I know there's sometimes you say, I hear a lot of fans say, well, there's no defense anymore. Sure. Get out of here. Like, to me, the defense is crazy. The game is so, people watch on TV and think there's no defense, but they come to a game and they say, I cannot believe how physical it is out there. I would agree. Like, it's physical. There's help defense. There's scrambling. I mean, you're always trying to figure out new ways to create space and to put players in position to score, to get them to respond to adversity, to get, you know, there's certain players, you got to tell them how good they are all the time. You know, you got to remind them to keep them going. And there's certain players, Jack Edelman's 5'8", but you couldn't tell him that. He thinks he's Steph Curry out there. You got to keep reminding Jack that, hey, Jack, you ain't no good. You know, there's certain players you got to keep building their confidence, remind them how good they are. So you're trying to get the ultimate performance out of each individual player. You know, and you try to build them up, reel them in. You know, and no doubt as a coach, I think you're always trying, there's no better way. You don't evolve as a coach any better than coaching your own team. Like, while I respect all these coaching clinics and things like that, yeah, that all tells you what to do, but you have to go try to do it. Like, it's the plays are great, but it's about getting the players to actually do it, working on timing and patience and spacing and understanding why certain things work. You know, there's no, like, to me, coaching your own team is the best way to improve as a coach, but not being arrogant and not saying, just do it my way. No way, man. Like, I mean, these guys, they can make plays. Terrion Murders can pass the ball better than I could ever teach him to pass the ball. So we learn how to, you know, he'll do this thing where he looks like he's throwing it in the post, and then his defender slides, and then he'll rip and drive middle. We were talking about the other day, like, I've never really thought to teach that before, but man, he's an elite passer, and that's what he does, you know? So you're constantly learning as you put things in. You learn from the players how to kind of take that next step. So I don't know, that's a rambling answer, but I think you're always, certainly as a coach, you're always trying to figure out how to get better. As soon as you say you're good enough, you're going to get beat.
I wish I still used tape recorder, Hank.
Tape recorder?
I said I wish I still used one.
Yeah.
You gave us a lot in this time.
Well, it's been a while.
No, I mean, I'm not saying I appreciate it.
Yep, I'll
Can
get
you talk about how competitive practice is, you know?
It's been pretty competitive. I mean, you always have some ebbs and flows in that. Like, I mean, there's been some days that they would say that they'd probably tell you I wasn't pleased with the competitiveness level, but that's because as soon as they show me what they're capable of, I'm gonna try to hold them to that. So whatever the most competitive day is, now we want that every single day, you know, and then eventually, even if you have 3 days that aren't as good, well, then on that 4th day when it's even better, now we're holding them to that. So it's been pretty competitive. These guys, they care about winning. They love to play basketball. They're in the gym all the time, so it's been a good group to coach.
Just a snapshot of today. If you had a game tonight, need somebody to take a game-winning shot today, who would be that guy that you want the ball in their hands?
Well, I can't answer that question. I mean, just so you know, we listen to other people's press conferences. I can't answer that question.
Already answered it anyway.
No, I think we have a lot of different guys that can shoot. I think Cam Hafner, Ryan Myers, and Kate Unsell can all really shoot the ball. I think Grant Newell can shoot the ball. I think Terrion Murders can make really good plays coming off of a ball screen and making the right decision. I haven't talked about LJ Hackman. LJ Hackman is a confident, winning basketball player that can either shooting or finishing at the rim score in some different ways. And Tegan seems to get an and one every single time he has the ball. So there you go. One of those 8.
Thank you, Coach.
Okay, thank you all.
Again, take this.